Welcome back, boys and girls. And today I want to talk about what you should do to protect yourself and your families while you're traveling. And honestly, if you do this on a regular basis, it would be also very helpful. First, make sure your gas tank is full and don't let it go below quarter tank. Sometimes you could get stranded at the wrong side of the neighbor. I've seen this on the news a few times when I used to live in California when I was younger. Now this couple was driving Volvo, and while they're driving to the East LA on a freeway, they saw the gas light come on. So without thinking twice about it, they got off the exit, they went into the wrong neighborhood looking for a gas station. Now those thugs, when they saw that Volvo coming, they knew they didn't belong in the neighborhood. So they actually blocked the road front and back and shot both people and took the Volvo. And honestly, I have experienced this twice myself, not the shooting, but running out of gas. One time I was taking my family to fishing, and as I was driving, my gas light came on, so I got off the freeway, and as soon as I got off the freeway, I noticed the neighborhood was really dark, and the gas station had window bars everywhere, and I could see not very friendly looking people on the streets. So I took my chance, got back on the freeway again, and then got off like 5 or 6 miles afterwards, and it was fine. So don't take any chances. And the other time was I was driving to Las Vegas to take my family to Hoover Dam, and same thing happened, light came on, and again I landed on the wrong side of the neighborhood. So again, I got back on the freeway again, and then got off on the next exit where it was much safer. I know when you see the light come on, you get a little anxious, but you still got 23 miles to go, so don't worry too much about it. Also, it is safer to have a head-on collision than having a side impact. And this actually happened to me twice. One rainy morning, I was going to my work, and on my left corner, I saw a white truck. And at first, I thought it was one of those road maintaining trucks. But then I saw the truck jump and lands right on the freeway. I really thought about steering my wheel to the right, but I've been always telling myself, if I see anything happen, I'm gonna go on a head-on collision. So instead of turning it, I grab my wheel and I hit the brakes as hard as I can, and I see the truck coming at me, and then truck hit the driver's side of my 4Runner, and I was spinning like 3 times, and I could see everything, and I was so afraid there might be other cars coming at me, and there was, but thank God they all missed me, and I ended up at the other side of the freeway. Now the idiot who hit me is most likely he fell asleep while he was driving, and the highway trooper could not believe I was talking and standing with no visible injury. Whereas the other guy was unconscious, he was bloody, and the ambulance took him. And I was also taken by the ambulance. And I had 2 injuries. I had a bad bruise of seatbelt mark. 2 days later, I saw a size of goose egg bump on my neck. So I took an MRI, and they told me I was so lucky because I did have some sort of artery that was busted, but it was within the very tight fiber tissue, we call it fascia, and the bleeding didn't go anywhere. That compression actually stopped it from bleeding. But then after 3 or 4 days later, it started turning into very dark color, like a bruise. And then about 2-3 weeks later, it went away. But I was able to function from next day. Needless to say, my car was totaled, and I thank God and that 4Runner for saving my life. Highway trooper told me it was lucky for me because it was a head-on collision. Now, in front of the car, we have a lot of stuff. You have an engine, batteries, radiator, everything. So you have the cushion to come in. But if you steer, and if the car hits you on the side, you have no protection. So always keep in your mind, if you see anything in the freeway, don't steer. Hit the brakes hard as you can and hold your wheel tight, unless you know for sure that you could avoid the accident. And the other time was we were going on a family vacation to Virginia Beach. Everybody's driving 70, 80 miles an hour. Actually, I got off the high-speed lane because people are driving too fast. So I got into second lane, very unlike me, and I was driving. And from the right corner of my eye, I saw a car coming at me like a frisbee. It was spinning like this. That thing came about 50 yards in front of me. And again, I thought about steering, but I was afraid I might hit other car coming from behind me. So I held my wheel and hit the brake hard as I can, and he was facing the driver's side. I could see it looking at me like deer caught in the light. I hit the brake so hard, I thought I might even have a chance to stop it before I hit her. But I hit her, but it was a light hit. It was crazy that she was trying to cut off the semi-truck, and the semi-truck bumper cut the left corner of her rear bumper, and that caused her to spin across the freeway. So again, crazy things happen. I also heard that if you try to steer and if you miss the car and if you hit other car, it could become your responsibility. So unless you are 100% sure that you could avoid an accident, you don't want to steer your wheel, but actually hold on to your wheel, hit the brakes hard as you can, and they will be good for everybody. And always have extra key with your wife or somebody else, just in case you lose your key. And one time this happened to me. I was in Hawaii and I went into the beach with a key in my pocket. Now, luckily, I had an extra key with my wife, so I was able to come to the hotel. I actually took the whole remote apart and dried with a hair dryer, and it worked fine. And I've seen a lot of people try to put their valuables in the glove box. Not a good idea. That's the first place that they look at. So if I had to put my valuables away, I would actually put in the trunk under the spare tire. As I mentioned before, when we go to church or the conference or some sort of social meeting, we always sit next to the exit. And if we hear anything go bang or anybody say the magic word gun, without thinking twice, first thing you want to do is you want to run out the exit door. Now once you're out and safe, then you could call 911. Now let's talk about the hotel. I tried to get a first or second floor. That way if something happens, I could escape. And if not, even the third floor is okay. Once I go to my room, I look out the window and see where the parking lot is. And then I will move my car right by my window so I could have my eyes on it. Just in case I have some other stuff in the car, or the luggage, or the bags. And if I need to escape to the window, my car's right there for me. And if I want to set off my panic button, it's also right there. And while my family is settling in the room, I'll actually come out and look for the furthest staircase. Now you want to avoid the main staircase in the middle because that's where the high traffic is. And usually that's where the bad guys are. So if something happens, you know where to get out. And also in the room, check the window and make sure it opens all the way. But a lot of windows, they will actually let you open the limitations. So it's really hard to get out. Now if you hear a bang or somebody says fire or gun or whatever, it's better not to run out to the hall, then go for the exit. It's actually better to get out through the window. So if the window won't open all the way, just grab a chair, throw it at the window, break it out, and then escape. Now, if you're on a third floor and if you need to lower somebody down, you could always use a bed sheet. Just tuck it underneath the both armpits of your wife or kid and then lower them down the window and then let them drop. Do that for your family. And at the end, you could tie the sheet on the window frame or the bed frame and then lower yourself down as much as you can and then just jump down. Now, one thing that I don't recommend you to do is try to call a 911. That shouldn't be your first priority. Sometimes that could take time. At this point, every second counts, and trust me, somebody's already calling 911. But then once you're out and safe, then you could call 911. First thing I'll do is get my family in the car and then drive away and get to a safe location and call 911. And as for your valuables and passports, you want to leave it in your room safe. And if the room doesn't have a safe, talk to the front desk and then let them keep it in their safe. But as you're giving it to them, just take a picture of everything that you gave to them so they're aware, and you can also keep it for your record. And in most cases, most hotels don't mind having your gun in the room, but it has to be unloaded and in the case. So this is what I carry. This is P32 by Kel-Tec. I'm sure you've seen it a lot. So this small pistol with 2 magazines holds 17 rounds. And it's light, and my wife don't really mind. In fact, my family feels safer having this with us. Now let's talk about walking around in the street. You'd be surprised, most crimes happens in so unexpected places all the time. Like if somebody goes out to the car by themselves to just get something, or walk to the nearby store, or even go get a coffee. That's when the crimes happen. So you never want to have anybody walking outside by themselves, always 2 or more. And you also want to check the CCW regulation in the state. And if allowed, carry your pistol with you. One thing we have to have is good coffee in the morning. Starbucks or other coffee shops. When we went to Europe, and if they have a great bakery, of course we're gonna go out and get it in the morning. We don't want the hotel food. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying my family won't allow me. And one thing that I notice is when I go out with my kids, and even with my daughter, if you're walking early in the morning or late at night just to get something, and if she sees somebody on the street just standing there or like sitting or whatever, I always tell my family to just cross the street and walk. You don't have to walk by them. And the funny thing is that they think that's kind of being rude. So when I go out with my kids, I actually take the initiation to cross the street and they follow me. And after doing it a couple of times, they realize it's not being rude, but it's being safe. And also if you feel like there's somebody behind you just kind of following you, just kind of run across the street and pull out your cell phone. Just act like talking to your family like, hey mom, yeah, I'm right here. Something like that. And that's going to put them to stop and just walk away. When you're on vacation, you're in a good spirit. You want to be polite to everybody. But then if you see people approaching you to ask for direction or any kind of help, don't let them approach you. Just walk backwards, put your hand out, and just put your other hand in your pocket even though you have nothing there. And just say, I am sorry, I'm not from here, so I can't help you. And once the other person realizes that they are not welcome, they will actually stop themselves and just walk away. And we went on a lot of family vacations and we don't want to sit in a hotel and eat pizza. So we usually buy groceries, pack it up, and find great park or beach to enjoy our meal. But usually we don't like to be where it's really crowded, so we usually like to find some quiet place. And that gets a little bit sketchy. So when you find a nice quiet spot, you still want to sit close to your car where you have access to the panic button. And if it's really quiet, I would actually activate the panic button once just to let the people know, don't mess with us, and then enjoy our meal. Now, if you hear a gunshot or anybody mentioning gun, first thing you should think is run and get away as far as you can to the safe location. And if that's not possible, hide and buy time because police is already on the way. If you're considered carrying, don't expose yourself trying to shoot the bad guy, but hide yourself and just shoot the gun in the air. That's gonna make that bad guy flinch and hide himself, and it's gonna buy you a lot of time, and before you know it, police will be there. And of course, if the bad guy is right in front of you and you're able to stop his act, you should definitely do it. And I also like to carry a small tactical knife. This is Browning Black Label. And this comes with the seatbelt cutter and the glass breaker. And it's got a serrated blade. So this could get you out of a lot of trouble. Especially if you're not packing, this is the next best thing. And this could do things that guns can't do. If you take all precautions, it's very unlikely you're gonna find yourself in a bad spot. And if you prepare yourself, even in the worst situation, there's a very high chance you'll survive. See ya.